Hey, what's up guys, it's MugenLord here, and my God, this month, the month of May, is getting crazy as far as gaming is concerned, and the controversy that's pretty much surrounding both Microsoft and Sony, and also Nintendo have a few surprises with their announcement, pretty much acknowledging and revealing the fact is that, yes, Nintendo's Switch predecessor is indeed coming pretty soon, so we can expect the announcement within the next 10 months or so. So we have to wait and see on that. But today I want to talk about Microsoft more specifically, is because they just recently closed down a couple of their game studios that they have just recently acquired. And it has a lot of gamers, especially for the Xbox community, scratching their heads and they want some answers. Microsoft, what are you doing? And I pretty much want to give you my thoughts and opinions on it because they have Sarah Bond, the new president of Xbox, out in the forefront to answer some of the hard, challenging questions that pretty much put her on the spot. And then her answer is pretty much not looking that good. And in my personal opinion, I think Microsoft is going to use her as a scapegoat for a lot of the controversy and the decisions that's being made. So before we even dive into the video, make sure you hit that subscribe button, the notification bell for more gaming content here on this channel. So we're going to dive into it right now, starting with Kotaku article, pretty much going over the gist of the situation. And the article says, after buying up studios, Xbox says it doesn't have the resources to run them. Apparently, Microsoft top leaders are paying closer attention to Xbox and its plans too. This is interesting. Not enough resources, but they had enough to purchase these companies, right? So we're going to move on. So it says, after shutting down multiple Bethesda studios, Xbox and Bethesda leadership held a town hall meeting with staff to discuss the closure, explaining that the company's studio had been spread too thin and that it wanted to focus on fewer projects moving forward. And we've been seeing this across the board with plenty of these studios, not even just Microsoft. What we talked about recently with Square Enix, as well as they have reported that they're experiencing $140 million loss, and now they deciding to say, hey, we're going to cut back on a lot of these projects, and even some projects are just going to flat out be canceled in general, which have a lot of fans concerned about which projects are going to be canceled. So this is happening all the way across the board, and as I said before, this is a game industry problem that's going on right now everywhere across the board. So it says, on May 7th, Xbox announced that it was closing 3 studios: Tango Games, Hi-Fi Rush, Arcane Austin, Redfall, and Alpha Dog's game Mighty Doom, with a 4th support studio, Roundhouse Studios, being absorbed by the teams behind Elder Scrolls Online. According to a new report on May 8th, in the aftermath of these surprising shutdowns, Xbox President Matt Booty and ZeniMax head Jeff Braff held a large meeting with the staff and laid out the reasoning behind the cuts. Now, it says, as reported by Bloomberg during the meeting, Booty praised Hi-Fi Rush but wouldn't go into specific details on why the studio behind the colorful action game had been shut down. And that's the thing that has a lot of the fans confused, is because people saying we're seeing some conflicting information here, because, you know, Microsoft was bragging about the success and the metrics that it had exceeded when it comes to its success when it came to Hi-Fi Rush, because of all the accolades it was given and the downloads on the Game Pass and everything like that. But yet we have Tango Games being shut down, and this also has me thinking about why Shinji Mikami had, you know, the CEO, the one that started Tango Games, have left. He pretty much left and moved on and started a brand new company and want to bring in newer developers, so they have the freedom to be able to develop the games that they want. So it also has me thinking that maybe after the acquiring of the acquisition of Tango Games, maybe Shinji Mikami was like, you know what, he's seen the writings on the walls, he's seen the decisions that Microsoft is making and looking at this, you know, the movement and the shifting of resources and the staff, and he decides, you know what, I'm gonna get the hell out of here. I think that's the case, because I found it kind of strange. After Hi-Fi Rush, he makes the announcement not too long after that he was leaving the company, and then now we have this. So maybe he saw something, you know, coming up that he just didn't like and wanted to bounce and start fresh all over again. So it says that, speaking more broadly about the closing, Booty reportedly explained that Xbox and Bethesda Studios had become spread too thin, like peanut butter on bread, and that the team leaders felt understaffed. The idea being that by closing studios, Xbox would free up resources elsewhere within the company. Booty also told staff at the meeting that Arcane Austin's closing had nothing to do with Redfall flopping with fans and critics. Now, this is kind of hard to believe because, like I said, the question that we have to ask, if Redfall was a big success, would Arcane Studios still be around? That's the question we need to be asking. If Redfall was a successful game, would they have still been around? And we would never know that question right now at all. Is because they're telling us this PR move that no, they was planning on doing this anyway, despite what the critics were saying. So we would never know. But I find it kind of odd that, how everything is just a coincidence. It fails, shut it down. But we also have a different story when it comes to Hi-Fi Rush. They told us that, hey, this game was a successful in all metrics, and yet Tango Games is shut down. So what the hell is actually going on? And then they telling us that resources are running thin within these studios, but yet you guys acquired them. You guys went out and acquired these studios, these big studios you guys acquired. How did you not know anything as far as resources is concerned? How did y'all not factor any of that in before making these acquisitions? Which starting to make me believe that, is this done on purpose? Because they have a history of doing this. Microsoft has a history of acquiring studios and then dissolving them. Like, is this part of a plan just to knock out competition? What the hell is going on here? I have a lot of questions here, but we're going to move on right now. So, it says, reportedly, both Tango and Arcane Austin had pitched games to work on next, including Hi-Fi Rush sequel and possibly a new Dishonored or similar single-player immersive sim-like game. Those likely won't happen. Of course they won't happen. Braff allegedly said that she hoped the closing of some studios would allow Bethesda and ZeniMax to focus on fewer projects in the future. I quote, "It's hard to support 9 studios all across the world with a lean central team with an overgrowing plate of things to do." But you guys acquired them. You guys went out and bought these studios. That's all I understand. Who are the people running Xbox? Who are the people that's running all this? How did you not factor any of that in? Why did you acquire them and then say, hey, we're spreading ourselves thin? Like, y'all didn't have any fail safes or anything set in place before going in and acquiring these studios? This makes no sense. This makes no sense at all. It seems like the only thing they have on their mind, on the forefront, is the Xbox Game Pass. Let's just acquire these studios and just have it on the Game Pass, but don't think the rest of the strategy through. Who are hiring these people? These people need to be fired. They truly need to be fired. So it said, I think we were about to topple over. So Tango and Arcane were trying to hire more people while pitching new games, and both Braff and Booty reportedly suggested that the long, expensive road those teams faced before being able to release something new was the main reason for closing the studios, implying that it would just be bad timing as Microsoft looks to trim down costs and overhead. It's reported that more cuts are likely for Xbox, according to the people who have spoken to Bloomberg. It is also reported that ever since the massive $69 billion Activision Blizzard acquisition in 2023, Microsoft leaders have been ramping up their scrutiny of the Xbox division. The Verge reported on Wednesday that executives at Microsoft and Xbox had discussed not adding Call of Duty games to Game Pass and raising the price of Game Pass Ultimate. However, nothing is concrete yet. Microsoft leaders taking a bigger interest in Xbox might help explain why Booty and others are looking to cut costs. Either way, it's likely more folks to Xbox will lose their jobs in the future. So what we're understanding here is Microsoft is the company, the father company, period, right? But then you have the Xbox division. The Xbox division is kind of like its own entity of its own. It runs itself. So what we're seeing here is, from what they're explaining, is that now Microsoft, the father company itself, is now stepping in because of a lot of the things that's going on, the high budgets. And you have to understand, Microsoft is a profitable company. Is the Xbox division, if it was up, if Microsoft today or tomorrow, they can make a decision to cut Xbox altogether. Because in a sense, Xbox is pretty much is at a loss for Microsoft as a whole. And because of these budgets and because of the way the industry is going right now, Microsoft is now stepping in on Xbox division and saying, yo, we need to start cutting overhead and we need to start cutting costs because of how much money you guys are just pretty much losing, and it's impacting the overall company altogether. So now we should be expecting more and more job losses. And the fact is that they keep raising the price of Game Pass. I think that's eventually going to be their downfall as well, because people enjoyed the Game Pass because not only that you was able to get a huge selection of games, also the price was fairly reasonable. And now that we're in this crazy economy with mad inflation, thanks to Bidenomics or whatever you want to call it, now we have gamers having to make a decision. Like, I have to put food on my table, or pay bills, or should I spend money on gaming? And gaming is no longer just a hobby. Gaming is a luxury right now, and people have to make these decisions. Now, the thing is, I wanted to talk about Sarah Bond, because after this information, this news had pretty much had swept the internet. Sarah Bond had to talk with Bloomberg and had a roundhouse discussion talking about everything that's been going on, and a lot of gamers have a lot of concern, and even the industry itself and investors have a lot of concern of what's going on, and people want and demand answers. So the biggest news, of course, was the fact is that Tango Studios, Arcane Studios, and the other two studios had pretty much been dissolved. And she was asked a hard-hitting question about why is the fact, what is going on here? And you essentially had to hear her answer herself.
Xbox gamers and to employees is that, one of the Shuttered studios in particular just created a hit game, did really well on Game Pass in terms of engagement, and won a ton of awards. Shouldn't succeeding in that way ensure the future of a studio?
One of the things I really love about the games industry is it's a creative art form. And it means that the situation and what success is for each game and studio is also really unique. Like, there's no one size fits all to it for us. And so we look at each studio, each game team, and we look at a whole variety of factors when we're faced with sort of making decisions and trade-offs like that. But it all comes back to our long-term commitment to the games we create, the devices we build, the services, and ensuring that we're setting ourselves up to be able to deliver on those promises.
So with that being said, what I find kind of, I guess you say, concerning is when it comes to the whole Sarah Bond situation, which I've made a video about, a couple of months ago, talking about Sarah Bond when she was first announced to be the new head or the new president of Xbox. And I was saying to you guys that we pretty much had to take a wait and see approach, because a lot of people were seeing Sarah Bond as some people, not everybody, but you had some people seeing Sarah Bond as a diversity hire or whatever like that. And I pretty much essentially explained that this was just pretty much moving up the ladder, because there was a lot of shifting going on within the business itself, meaning that Sarah Bond was a vice president in one division, and then she had her boss who was in the Xbox division. He had got promoted, which means it made her promote into his spot to fill in that spot, and the person below Sarah Bond fills in Sarah Bond's spot. So she was given this position by default, and now that she's pretty much the face of what's going on in Xbox. And in my personal opinion, even looking at this interview, you can look at her body language, you can tell she's put in a tough spot, and you can tell that, in my personal opinion, that to me, I think Xbox is going to use her as a scapegoat for a lot of the problems, because any decision made at this point, she's the face of it. And the thing is, Microsoft already had these plans implemented. Microsoft, whatever they're trying to do, whatever their game plan and what they're trying to do to shift their whole business model over, she's going to catch the brunt of it because now that she's in this position. And Microsoft has been fucking up way before she got in. And now the question is she's going to make it worse, or is everything going to stay the same? And as of right now, things are getting worse. But it appears that Tango and Arcane Studios, this was a decision that was made beforehand, and we want to wait and see. But the thing that really has me boggle my mind is that in the interview, she had also said this.
In July, we are going to be launching our mobile store experience. We're going to start actually by bringing our own first-party portfolio to that. So you're going to see games like Candy Crush show up in that experience, games like Minecraft. And then we're going to extend that capability to partners so that they can also take advantage of it and have a true cross-platform, gaming-centric mobile experience. We're going to start on the web. And we're doing that because that really allows us to have it be an experience that's accessible across all devices, all countries, no matter what, independent of the policies of, closed ecosystem stores. And then we're going to extend from there.
Yeah, so it appears that they're also trying to focus more on mobile gaming. And in my personal opinion, and what I've also been seeing too as well, is that they're trying to compete with Apple, because Apple is really pushing emphasis on mobile gaming, and some people are pretty much speculating whether or not if Apple's going to step into the gaming market as well, or the console market. So I wanted to talk about this real quick. It says Microsoft new Xbox gaming store is launching in July, which is something that they're planning to do. So it says Microsoft has been talking about plans for an Xbox mobile gaming store for a couple years now, and now the company plans to launch it in July. Speaking at Bloomberg Technology Summit earlier today, Xbox President Sarah Bond revealed the launch date and how Microsoft is going to avoid Apple's strict Apple Store rules. So that's what I'm thinking is going on here. Microsoft has so much going on as far as what they're trying to do. It seems like they're just all over the place when it comes to the Xbox division and what Microsoft is trying to do as a whole, as a company. So yes, so the stores will pretty much focus on first-party mobile games from Microsoft various studios, which include huge hits like Call of Duty Mobile and Candy Crush Saga. Bond says the company will extend this to partners at some point in the future. So it says while games will naturally be part of the store, it sounds like the key parts of the Xbox experience will also be available. Bond argues there isn't a gaming platform and store experience that goes truly across devices where who you are, your library, your identity, your rewards travel with you versus being locked into a single ecosystem. So Microsoft is trying to build that with the Xbox Mobile Store. And I think this is the overall gist. This is why, in my personal opinion, this is why Microsoft is now stepping in even harder on the Xbox division, because it appears that their goal is that Xbox, they trying to turn Xbox into Microsoft itself, how you have pretty much the Microsoft operating system on every device or every platform in the world. And it seemed like they're just trying to take Xbox and they're trying to go that route with the Xbox brand by having it everywhere. Any device that you play on, and no matter if it's a smart TV, smartphone, a pad or anything, you will be able to play and have access to all your content when it comes to the Xbox service, which, as I said before, the Game Pass is the central component to all this. And it's just sad, man, where the state of where Microsoft is at. And you have to understand, man, Microsoft, when it came to the Xbox, my favorite generation all in itself was the Xbox 360. And now more and more I'm starting to look at what Microsoft is doing, or what Xbox is doing with the platform, with the brand, with the console itself. It makes the Xbox 360 seem more like a lightning in the bottle than ever before. How did you go from a great gaming experience, a great console like the Xbox 360? It had everything that you want and needed. It had third-party support. It had the exclusives. And to me, in my personal opinion, Xbox Live was the superior console online experience. Hell with PlayStation Network. To me, PlayStation Network was never as good as Xbox Live. All my friends, everybody in my community, even you guys on YouTube, had an Xbox 360. We all played on the Xbox brand with the Xbox 360. How did we go from this point of gaming to now? It's like they just did a total complete just 180 with the decisions going into the Xbox One, where they're taking this gaming experience. It's like they just took this time and to build that good faith or goodwill for the gaming community and just did a turnaround, just did a switcheroo, you know, on the gamers in the community, and decided to go just mega corporate with the whole DRM policy, the always online, especially with the Connect with the Xbox One. And then all of a sudden we get introduced in this generation with the Game Pass. Now, still to this day, I just don't trust the Game Pass. I still haven't invested in the Game Pass at all. Even day one when I had the Xbox Series X, never bought into it, never subscribed to it. And to me, that's just not gaming to me. You know, and it just seemed like a lot of these companies, or because of these investors, they're becoming more corporate rather than just being developers who just have the love of designing games and bringing their visions out to the community for everybody to enjoy what these developers' visions are. People who had a passion of designing and developing games, telling great stories, and having well-developed characters and great worlds and everything. All that is gone. Now it's just about the bottom line. It's just about the money. And I know a corporation and a company, you know, sole purpose is to make money. But there was a balance to all this, and it seemed like that balance is gone. And this is why I've been slowly stepping away, you know, from modern gaming. And I've been focusing more, you know, on what I'm doing, especially with Venus Orion Comics and my comic book company that I'm slowly building for its pretty much its launch this fall. But I've also been trying my best to deliver to you guys some alternative when it comes to gaming as a whole, because a lot of people have lost hope when it comes to gaming. People believe that gaming is dead, and I wouldn't go that far to say that, because gaming is pretty much alive. It's just that we're not looking in the right places. Our whole life we've been focusing on just worrying about or just relying on the mainstream AAA companies and AAA studios to give us that fun factor, that entertainment. And now a lot of it has been so corporate over time. And then if you throw in these the culture war aspects as far as social political aspects of it, and then it's been tainted with that, with Western influence. So you also have that part of it as well. And then you get to take into the consideration what's going on with today's economy, where it's just not sustainable, and a lot of people can't afford it as well. And then you have these studios just putting a lot of money into all this, and it's causing studios to pretty much have to pretty much go into other avenues in order to be able to squeeze as much money as possible to make up the cost for a lot of these games. And I just hope that sooner or later that the game industry experience some form of a reset. Something needs to be done, because this is getting ridiculous. But that pretty much wraps up this video. I definitely want to hear your thoughts in the comment sections below. What do you think about all this when it comes to Microsoft and their decision of closing down studios, especially as far as Tango Games with the successful Hi-Fi Rush that they claim was pretty successful? What do you think about that studio had shut down? And that was pretty much their only, I guess you would say, quote-unquote Japanese type of studio that they had under their wing, and it's just now gone. It's just lost. It's just going with the wind. So I definitely want to hear your thoughts. And what do you think about the current trend right now that's going on in gaming? So if you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe button for more gaming content here on this channel. This is MugenLord, sign off. I'll see you game fiends later. Peace out.